Part 17. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 161. Tonight's banquet was no longer on the open lawn, but in a hall inside the manor villa. Of course, this hall was beyond Suren's knowledge, because it was not a real hall. But a small world. That's right, the entire villa has entered this small world from the moment you enter the door. There are all kinds of flowers, birds, fish, and insects in the small world. There were even unknown birds of all colors chirping in the sky. A splendid palace complex floats over a lake. Combined with the countless mist and smoke, it makes people feel like they are in a heavenly palace. No one knows how the owner of Liulai Island managed to float such a magnificent building in the air. People who came here for the first time were looking around curiously, and even those who were slightly afraid of heights did not dare to look outside. Brother Su, this place is called Yunding Tiangong, and it is unique to the owner of Liulai Island. It's only here that I can see such a fairyland-like place. Mu Liansheng also spoke at the right time. The owner of Liulai Island is indeed a man of great means. How many people can do this? Let's just say that this small world is not something ordinary people can have. While a few people were chatting, handsome men and beauties wearing colorful and feathery clothes had already come to invite you to sit on both sides of the hall. Suren looked at the scene and thought he had traveled through time again. Isn't this the same thing as in Journey to the West? The owner of Liulai Island is a person who knows how to enjoy himself. He is like the Jade Emperor holding a banquet and holding a peach conference for his ministers. However, only the invited bosses are eligible to sit, and other guards and entourage can only stand behind the boss. Brother Su, why don't you sit down? Xiao Ding was a little uneasy. He always felt that it was inappropriate to let Suren stand behind him and watch. This is a top powerhouse with strength beyond level 9. How can he, Xiao Ding, let Suren stand behind him? Hearing Xiao Ding's words, several bosses around him looked at Suren, who was wearing a mask, in surprise. Thinking about who this person was, Xiao Ding did not dare to sit down in front of him. Mu Liansheng tilted his head and said curiously. I said, Boss Xiao, please reveal the identity of Brother Su. You've made me a little scared. Both of them were from the Dragon Kingdom, and Xiao Ding didn't dare to sit down, so how could he dare to sit down safely? Mu Liansheng looked at Suren again and was suddenly shocked. Isn't he the king of the country? Thinking of this, Mu Liansheng also stood up quickly. Thinking of what happened in the past few days, Xiao Ding always consulted this person every time he had major matters, and this person would simply nod or shake his head in response. Coupled with Xiao Ding's increasingly respectful attitude, the more Mu Liansheng thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. If the king himself were there, he would not dare to sit down. Seeing the two bosses from Long Kingdom standing there and not daring to sit down, this attracted the attention of others. Seeing that more and more people were paying attention to this place, Suren put his hand on Xiao Ding's shoulders and motioned him to sit down. Xiao Ding could only nod when he saw this. Seeing Xiao Ding sit down, Mu Liansheng nodded to Suren and then sat down. Xiao Ding was confused. Why did Mu Liansheng suddenly greet Suren? The two brothers Cao Bufan are now used to it. At first they thought Suren was Xiao Ding's friend. Later, I thought it was a master invited by Xiao Ding. By now they already feel that Suren is Xiao Ding's boss or something. Anyway, this identity has changed again and again, and they don't bother to guess. After everyone was seated, many handsome men and beauties left after placing fruit plates and delicacies in their hands. At this time, there was laughter outside the palace. The owner of Liulai Island slowly walked into the main hall with the support of housekeeper Feng Tiancheng and the protection of Hong Daoan and Wang Ming. I've met the island owner. All the big bosses stood up and bowed their hands. Haha, everyone, sit down and don't worry about me. The owner of Liulai Island seems to be looking much better today, and he basically walked the entire journey on his own. Wait until he comes to the main seat and sits down. Hong Daoan and Wang Ming stood on the left and right to protect him, while Feng Tiancheng stood beside him. The owner of Liulai Island signaled to Feng Tiancheng. After understanding this, Feng Tiancheng said to everyone, "We welcome bosses from all over the world to attend our triennial Tiangong event on Liulai Island. We have invited Caesars Group, the world's #1 supplier of equipment and materials, to this event. If you are interested, you can ask the boss of Caesars Group about cooperation projects. Of course, you can also seek cooperation with each other. We at Liulai Island only provide an opportunity and place for everyone to cooperate and progress. I hope that through this event everyone can find a satisfactory partner for cooperation." At this time, everyone looked at the white-haired old man at the right hand of the owner of Liulai Island. This person is Mord Caesar, chairman of Caesars Group. This man single-handedly established the Caesar Group, and after decades of development, it successfully became the #1 supplier of equipment and materials on the entire Blue Star. It also established a Caesar empire that spread all over the world. No matter where you buy or sell equipment, it is there. Mordekaiser stood up and nodded to everyone, then sat down. At this time, Feng Tiancheng clapped his hands. Then the group of handsome men and beauties walked in again, each holding a green jade bottle containing wine. Seeing this bottle, someone was surprised and said, "It turns out to be a bottle polished with raw energy stones. What is in it?" Energy rough stones are extremely difficult to polish because of their instability. One mistake and all the energy in the energy stone will be dissipated. A total of 50 rich people came here, and each of them had a bottle placed in front of them. The value of 50 bottles polished with raw energy stones alone has reached tens of billions. This is just for holding wine, so you can imagine how wealthy the owner of Liulai Island is. Island Master, I wonder what is in this bottle. This is a question that everyone is curious about. The owner of Liulai Island smiled slightly and said, "The content in this bottle is called Jiang. It is brewed by my Liulai Island collecting various top-notch medicinal herbs and spiritual fruits in the world. I was missing some ambergris, but I received it today." Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. Doesn't that mean that the owner of the Ice Dragon King also has to betray the owner of Liulai Island to save face? In just 3 days, the ambergris was already acquired. This method is really admirable. Then I wonder what the effect of the Island Master's jade liquid and fine wine is. Haha, you can check it out yourself. After the owner of Liulai Island finished speaking, the information about each bottle of jade liquid and nectar appeared in front of everyone. Jiang. Category, drugs. Level, legend. Level, none. Efficacy, after drinking it, all attributes can be permanently increased by 8%, the wound healing speed can be accelerated within 120 minutes, and the level can be increased by 10 instantly. Note, this medicine has a unique effect except for the property of accelerating wound healing, other properties cannot be obtained repeatedly. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 162. Seeing this attribute effect, everyone was shocked. An 8% permanent bonus to all attributes, which is for all professionals. This is the magic medicine of dreams. Who wouldn't want an overall improvement of nearly a tenth? As for the second speed effect of healing wounds, it is also a must-have in battle. The third one is even more terrifying. A full 10-level improvement would be achieved if a professional with level 8 or above could take a sip. That is definitely a terrifying improvement. Because for professionals of this level, each level up is extremely difficult and may even be life-threatening. Don't look at this small 10th level. In front of these top powerhouses, this 10th level is a natural chasm. Seeing this, Everyone looked at Hong Daoan and Wang Ming, who were standing on the left and right. Could it be that these two people are willing to work for the owner of Liulai Island because of this jade liquid? If so, it all makes sense. There is no need to take risks to upgrade, you can get an increase in level and strength by following the owner of Liulai Island. Although this jade liquid and nectar is its only attribute, but there is no guarantee that the owner of Liulai Island has other formulas for similar medicines. At this time, the voice of the owner of Liulai Island sounded. Everyone, please drink. You can give this to others to drink, but you cannot take it away. You must drink it on the spot. After hearing this, some people who had originally thought about taking it away could only give up their original ideas. If this thing is taken out for those high-level experts to drink, what can they not exchange for it? It's a pity that the owner of Liulai Island didn't give them this chance. Everyone, please. Feng Tiancheng also spoke to remind everyone. At this time, someone opened the bottle one after another, and a strange fragrance instantly filled the hall. Is this the scent of ambergris? Everyone said excitedly. Yes, this is ambergris. Every drop is valuable. Don't waste it. The owner of Liulai Island nodded. Thank you, island owner, for your hospitality. Thank you, island owner. The owner of Liulai Island smiled and waved his hand. We are all guests, no need to be polite. Zhou Changshen was the first to open the bottle, but he did not drink it, but handed it to Yang An, who was standing behind him. Even if he had 800 courages, he wouldn't dare to drink this magical thing. Yang An was not polite, took the bottle, opened his mouth and drank it. After just a moment, Yang An narrowed his eyes and said with some surprise. It really works, what an amazing thing. Suren and his group are here. Mu Liansheng gave this thing to his daughter. He only had a 3-star talent and had no hope of rising to a higher level in this life. Mu Hongxia is different. Mu Hongxia has dual professional 5-star talents, and she is also a special space-based professional and additive professional. Mu Hongxia can greatly improve her strength by drinking this stuff. It can also prepare you for the next World Championship. Mu Hongxia didn't hesitate and drank it in one gulp. Mu Liansheng looked at her nervously and asked. How about my daughter, is it useful? Mu Hongxia closed her eyes and felt it for a while and looked at the properties on the panel. Then he nodded and said, It works, father, this is indeed a legendary medicine. Okay, as long as it's useful. As for whether this thing might be poison, no one would even consider it. Because its attribute utility has been clearly written. It was precisely because of this that Mu Liansheng dared to give this jade liquid to his daughter to drink with confidence. Xiao Ding glanced at the jade liquid and fine wine, then picked up the bottle and turned around and handed it over to the back. Cao Bufan thought that Xiao Ding was going to give this thing to him to drink, and he suddenly became very excited and began to wonder what his last name was. As a result, Xiao Ding said to Suren. Brother Su, let me drink this for you. It doesn't make much sense for me to drink. Suren looked at his basic attributes and shook his head. It really doesn't make much sense for him to drink. He doesn't need this attribute bonus, not to mention it's mixed with ambergris. When Suren thought that the thing was the saliva from the Ice Dragon King's mouth, he wanted to vomit. Seeing that Suren didn't want it, Xiao Ding could only drink it himself. This sight made Cao Bufan's teeth itch. He couldn't drink such a good thing. It didn't matter if he didn't see it. Now that he saw it, he couldn't get it. He felt like there were 10,000 ants crawling on his body. The most important thing was that the man named Su didn't drink. They couldn't figure out why Suren didn't drink. Mu Hongxia looked at Suren curiously again, not even drinking this magical medicine. What kind of person is this? The more she looked at Suren, the more familiar she felt, especially Suren's figure and the words he said that night. My surname is Su, I know Xiao Ding. Who is it? I've definitely seen him. Mu Hongxia thought for a long time and was suddenly startled. It can't be Junior Suran, right? She used to guess Suran's identity from the older generation of big families named Su. Now I suddenly think of Suran's figure and combine them again. It seems a perfect coincidence. Daughter, what's wrong? Mu Liansheng saw his daughter staring at Suran non-stop, so he asked. No. Nothing. Mu Hongxia no longer went to see Suran, she was going to find a chance to test it out. At this time, everyone present had drunk the jade liquid and nectar. Upon seeing this, the owner of Liulai Island smiled and said, "The food has been drunk, let's enjoy a dance first." 7 women wearing 7 colored clouds entered the hall, first bowed to the owner of Liulai Island, and then danced to the beautiful music. Suren looked at the owner of Liulai Island strangely, wondering if this person had also traveled through time, right? This scene was paired with the heavenly palace that looked like a fairyland. Suren suddenly remembered the scene when Beiji molested Chang'e in the heavenly palace. After about half an hour, the song ended. Everyone applauded and cheered. The atmosphere in the hall reached its peak for a while. But unlike the laughter in the small world, it is outside the small world on Liulai Island. The entire island was silent. All major shops and hotels on the island were deserted. Upon closer inspection, the smell of blood could be heard coming from each shop. Black figures shuttled between the shops, killing all the living people they encountered. These people had no intention of resisting in front of it. In just a short time, the entire Liulai Island, except for the small world, has become an uninhabited island. Dozens of black shadows merged together to form a demon with 2 horns on its head, 2 wings on its back, and scarlet skin. The blood demon licked the blood on his lips and said excitedly, "This is still fun, the conspiracies and tricks are really a headache for the devil. Haha, next, it depends on Yangan and the others." The blood demon's eyes turned red, then he flapped his wings suddenly and flew straight to the only mountain peak on the island. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 163. In a Small World. After the dance ended, it was finally time for today's theme session. The boss of Caesar's group walked to the center of the hall and said to everyone, "This time our company will select a total of 6 companies to cooperate. As for the qualification requirements, I think everyone knows. I won't go into details here." When they heard that there were actually 6 companies, all the bosses started talking. Someone asked at this time, "Mr. Mordekaiser, how do you choose your partners?" This is the question on everyone's mind. All bosses who can go to the island meet the qualification requirements of Caesar's group. Whether it's operations, financial strength, or their influence in their country. All of this can be said to be the best of the best. It is basically impossible for another company to surpass them. But no one knows the selection criteria of Caesar's group. When everyone's strength is not much different, how to choose Mordekaiser is a very important question for them. Listening to everyone's discussion, Mordekaiser smiled slightly and said, "As we all know, our blue star is divided into 7 continents. Except for the bitter cold land in the extreme south, there are a total of 6 remaining continents that are inhabited. And in each continent, we will select at least one partner. Of course, I don't need a partner in my country, so there will be one more spot. It depends on who of you can grab it. The specific selection criteria, first, must be in a large country with a population of more than 30 million. The 30 million I am talking about are not ordinary people, but professionals." Upon hearing this standard, more than a dozen bosses became angry on the spot. There are 30 million professionals, and the total population must be at least 100 million. Ordinary small countries do not have this population base. When Xiaoding and others heard this first condition, they all smiled easily. The Dragon Kingdom has a vast territory. Unlike Suren's previous Earth, the Dragon Kingdom's territory is undoubtedly the largest in the world on Blue Star. The total population also ranks first, exceeding 10 billion. In this regard, it can be said that Mordekaiser meets the first condition perfectly. In fact, his conditions are very reasonable. As a company that sells equipment and materials, if there are not many professionals in the country, who will the equipment be sold to? At this time, the person who met the first condition asked, "Mr. Mordekaiser, what about the second condition?" Mordekaiser nodded and continued. As for the second condition, everyone knows that everything in this world can only be achieved with strength. I don't want to see my partners suffer unnecessary losses because they don't have enough power to protect our transportation corridors. So for the second condition, you must have a permanent guard group with more than 20 people and level 6 or above. If it is more than 7 turns, the number of people can be reduced to 10 people. Mr. Mordekaiser, what if it's turn 8? Mordekaiser smiled slightly when he heard this. 2 people can be transferred to 8th level. If it is 9th level, I can sign a cooperation contract with you immediately. And the split was changed from 50-50 to 28-20, 2 for us and 8 for you. Upon hearing this condition, everyone was shocked and shook their heads. Where did they get the top rank 9 experts to be used by them? This is simply unrealistic. It's hard for them to hire even 8th rank. If the gap between ordinary people and professionals is like a chasm, then the gap between professionals below level 8 and professionals above level 8 is a chasm. They can only consider the condition of turning 6 or 7 into a professional. This second condition, as long as they are willing to spend money, can basically be met by the remaining bosses. It's just a matter of how much it costs. It's nothing to hire someone once in a while. If you want to hire a high-level professional to stay there permanently, the cost will be a bit high. What's more, there is more than one condition. Everyone, there is one more thing I want to say about this second condition. That means our company has the right to recruit your professionals from you once a year. If our company encounters any danger, you must do your best to rescue us. If you can't accept this condition, you can give up now. Mordekaiser looked around. No one was giving up. They finally met 2 conditions, how could they give up? Since no one has given up, let me tell you the last condition. This is an additional condition, I need something, if any of you have it, give it to me and I can sign a contract with you immediately. Mr. Mordekaiser, what is it? Someone asked curiously. This thing, its name is the Void Pearl, it is a special material. Everyone was stunned when they heard this name. What is this? I haven't heard of it at all. When Suren heard this name, he was confused for a moment. It felt so familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. After thinking for a while, Suren suddenly looked at the system backpack and found this thing in a corner. Pearl of the Void. Category, Special Materials. Grade : Explanation, it is something that was brought into this world with the Cyclops, its specific purpose is unknown. This thing was revealed by the regional boss Cyclops that Suren killed in Novice Village. If Mordekaiser hadn't mentioned it, this thing would have been gathering dust in the corner. Mr. Mordekaiser, where did the Pearl of the Void you mentioned fall? I think it should be dropped from randomly refreshed areas in the world or from higher level boss. I don't know the specifics. What's the use of the Void Pearl? Mordekaiser shook his head. This is an order sent by a stranger. I am only responsible for the purchase. It doesn't matter to you now. As long as you can acquire it, you can contact me at any time in the future. Everything about cooperation will be easy. Hearing this, everyone sighed. There is only vague and uncertain information, where can I find it? Suren originally wanted to take this thing out, but after thinking about it, he decided not to. Caesar's group desperately needs something, and its actual value cannot be measured by a partner position. So Suren gave up the idea of taking it out. In fact, he only needs to show more than 9 turns of destructive power. 9 turns. That's it? Moreover, Suren's ambergris helped Xiao Ding a lot, and with the help of the owner of Liulai Island, he didn't have to show off his strength. Presumably Xiao Ding's cooperation with Caesar's group will not be a big problem. Everyone, bosses who meet the requirements can come and talk to me, and I will carefully consider whether we have the possibility of cooperation. After speaking, Mordekaiser returned to his seat and sat down. The bosses who met the requirements stood up and walked over and began to introduce their advantages one by one. The bosses from different continents were chatting and laughing, but the scene between bosses from the same continent was heated. Because they are competitors. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 164. Boss Xiao, it seems we must join forces. Mu Liansheng frowned. In the continent where Dragon Kingdom is located, there are as many as 7 companies that meet the conditions of the Caesar Group. The Dragon Kingdom occupies 4 families, the Sakura Kingdom has 2, and Asin has 1. If these 7 companies want to compete for a position, the competitive pressure is indeed very high. Moreover, Du Jingyun and Zhou Changshen were together. Xiao Ding thought for a moment, glanced at Suren, and wanted to ask Suren what he meant. Suren thought for a moment and replied in a loud voice. You judge for yourself. In fact, it is not impossible to cooperate with Mu Liansheng. Because Suren didn't understand the company's operations and development, he could only leave these things to Xiao Ding. If Xiao Ding thinks that cooperation is possible, then listen to him and Suren will not interfere with his ideas. Xiao Ding nodded when he heard this, and then said to Mu Liansheng. Master Mu, I want to fight for it personally first. If it doesn't work, we can work together. You can also give it a try. With the help of the owner of Liulai Island, he has a better chance. There is no need to cooperate with Mu Liansheng now. Mu Liansheng was not surprised. The profits from the cooperation between the 2 companies would definitely be reduced by half. He understood Xiao Ding's thoughts. Okay, Boss Xiao, if we don't succeed, how about working together? Good. Xiao Ding nodded in agreement. The 2 of them stood up and walked towards Mordekaiser's position. The 2 brothers Cao Bufan also followed them and watched the excitement from a few meters away from them. Suren was too lazy to go over, took out a chair and sat up. Mu Hongxia saw that no one was around, then she walked behind Suren and asked softly. Junior Suren. When Suren heard someone calling his name, he subconsciously looked back. When Mu Hongxia saw this, she couldn't believe her eyes. This man actually turned around. Is it really Suren? Suren suddenly realized that something was wrong at this time. After his mind ran around quickly, he raised his voice and said doubtfully. Who is Suren? Girl, are you calling me? Although Suren's expression could not be seen, Suren's body behaved naturally, and he only paused when he first turned around. Seeing that the person in front of her didn't look like he was lying, Mu Hongxia said sheepishly. I'm sorry, I recognized the wrong person. Suren nodded and turned around, looking as steady as an old dog. In fact, I was still panicking because I almost got recognized. It didn't matter if his identity was exposed after signing the contract. Before that, Suren could still try his best not to be exposed. Mu Hongxia glanced at Suren's back again, wondering in her heart. But it really looks like Junior Suren, but I heard that Junior Suren is from Donghua Prefecture, so he shouldn't be friends with Xiao Ding, right? Mu Hongxia shook her head and stopped thinking so much. When everyone gathered in front of Mordekaiser, only Zhou Changsheng glanced meaningfully at the owner of Liyulai Island who was sitting on the main seat. Yang An, who was behind Zhou Changsheng, nodded towards him. Zhou Changsheng understood and walked towards the owner of Liyulai Island. Yang An and another person followed closely behind. Walking to the desk, Zhou Changsheng bowed and said, "Junior Zhou Changsheng has met the island owner." The island owner hummed slightly and asked, "If you don't go to Mordekaiser, what do you have to do with me? Is such that?" Zhou Changsheng took a step forward and whispered a few words softly. The owner of Liyulai Island changed his expression after hearing this, before he could speak. At this time, a scream suddenly sounded outside the hall. This sound was like a catalyst, and within a few breaths, several more screams came. What happened? What happens? Everyone looked towards the entrance of the hall. Hong Daoan took 2 steps forward and was about to go to the door to take a look when Yang An, who was following Zhou Changsheng, suddenly made a sneak attack. A stone cone instantly pierced Hong Daoan's chest like a sharp sword. Another person behind Zhou Changsheng also threw a ball of fire at Wang Ming on the other side. Zhou Changsheng took the opportunity to grab the owner of Liyulai Island and carry him over. All this was done in a flash, and others had no time to react. Zhou Changsheng succeeded with one blow, and quickly grabbed the owner of Liyulai Island and took a few steps back. While retreating, he shouted loudly, "Do it! It's like a signal." Many of the guards who had been watching just now suddenly attacked the people around them. For a while, there were screams in the hall. Most of the bosses were unmoved and seemed to have known all this for a long time. The remaining bosses were shocked and panicked. "Boss, be careful." The guard behind Mordekaiser reacted quickly with a punch, killing the person who attacked him with one punch, then grabbed him and quickly exited the crowd. They retreated quickly because Mordekaiser's guards were level 8 masters. The rest of the people were not so lucky. Although these people were not targeting them, their guards were in dire straits. Cao Bushuan was attacked from behind by someone and fell down helplessly before he could scream. The few students from Donghai Academy were blown away by the aftermath of the battle before they even understood what happened. They didn't know whether they were alive or dead. Cao Bufan reacted a little faster. He first blocked the opponent's sword with one hand, and then took out his own weapon and slashed it out. The person who attacked him unexpectedly did not expect Cao Bufan to be so decisive. He was caught off guard and was struck by the sword, and almost lost his life. Mu Lianzhen's guards were also brutally attacked, and only 2 of them survived with injuries. In less than a minute, more than a dozen bodies fell into the field. "Tom! What are your people doing?" a boss roared angrily. "Haha, I used some tricks. Don't worry, we won't hurt you. As long as you cooperate, we will definitely let you get out of Liyulai Island safely." At this time, there were 50 wealthy businessmen, at least 30 of whom were standing behind Zhou Changsheng. No one knows what happened. They even saw the owner of Liyulai Island who was held in Zhou Changsheng's hands. Yang An was not greedy for success once he succeeded, but retreated to Zhou Changsheng. The other person's attack only served as a distraction for Fudo Ming Wang, and he had no intention of hurting Wang Ming. So after the attack was completed, he retreated to Zhou Changsheng's side. Now the owner of Liyulai Island is in their hands. Hong Daoan was injured, Wang Ming was not good at attacking, and most of the remaining 20 guards who did not join their boss were killed or injured. There is basically no resistance left. The opponent only has one Mordekaiser's bodyguard that still has combat power. And Yang An and the other person are both level 8 masters, not to mention that the blood demon is still out there. In Zhou Changsheng's view, if nothing unexpected happens, the situation has been decided. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, how like the human world. Chapter 165. Surround them up. Yang An gave an order. The wealthy bosses who joined them immediately called their guards to surround the bosses who were still in panic. Seeing this sudden change, Suren was stunned. This was really a premeditated and organized action. Everything happened so fast, and the battle was resolved in half a minute. Father! Mu Hongxia wanted to go over anxiously, but Suren held her back. Don't go there, stay behind me. Zhou Changsheng heard this shout and glanced this way. Seeing Suren wearing a mask, a trace of hatred flashed in Zhou Changsheng's eyes. If Suren hadn't caused trouble in Liulafang that day, how could he have lost to Xiao Ding? So after all this, he would never let Suren go. Zhou Changsheng no longer looked here, but looked at Feng Tiancheng and Mordekaiser. Zhou Changsheng, you are so brave, put the island owner down for me. Feng Tiancheng glared at him. At this time, Hong Daoan dealt with the wound on his chest and glared at Yang An. This was a level 8 earth element great mage, and that sudden blow almost killed him. He was hit by earth magic from the opponent at such a close distance. He didn't die thanks to his temporary reaction speed. Wang Ming was also standing beside Feng Tiancheng at this time and looking coldly at Zhou Changsheng and his group. Mordekaiser stood behind several people and looked at them coldly. He didn't expect that someone would be so bold and dare to launch a sneak attack in front of 3 level 8 professionals. The most important thing is that they succeeded. Steward, Mr. Mordekaiser, I, Zhou Changsheng, would like to say hello to you all on behalf of the Night God cult. With a smile on his face, Zhou Changsheng bowed deeply and handed over the owner of Liulai Island to the care of his subordinates. Yeshen cult. Are you from the Night God cult? Feng Tiancheng said in shock. He had heard of the section the Night God sect was powerful, but it never showed up easily. The strongest people in the sect are the leader of the Night God sect, the left and right guardians, and the 4 elders of wind, fire, water, and earth. Feng Tiancheng looked at the 2 people behind Zhou Changsheng and asked. You 2 are Yang An and Den Yan, 2 of the 4 elders of the Night God sect. Haha, that's right. I didn't expect that Butler Feng has heard of my 2 names. I'm really flattered. Looking at these 2 people, everyone surrounding them changed their faces. The 2 level 8 professionals are actually only 2 of the 4 elders. How terrifying is the strength of the Night God sect. Zhou Changsheng, what do you, the Night God cult, want to do? Mordekaiser asked with a frown. Naturally, he knew that this sect would be difficult to leave today. Zhou Changsheng spread his hands and said with a smile. I said, we will not harm the bosses. The Night God sect needs to seek cooperation with you. Of course, we also want to solve the problem in a peaceful way, but we gave you a chance and you didn't take it. We had to resort to a little unconventional means. Mu Liansheng said angrily. Humph, Zhou Changsheng, is this how you came to cooperate with us? You killed our people and you dare to threaten us. Zhou Changsheng shook his head and sighed, Master Mu, it's not like we haven't looked for you before. Why are you talking about this now? I only give you 2 choices. Either you choose to join our Night God cult, and we will still be friends. Either you choose to fight to the end, then I'm sorry, I can only let you be buried here. You can choose. My patience is limited. I will give you 10 minutes to think about it. After Zhou Changsheng finished speaking, he looked at Feng Tiancheng and others. As for Butler Feng, you'd better come over. The island owner is still in our hands. You don't want anything to happen to the island owner, right? Hearing this, Mu Liansheng and others looked at Feng Tiancheng. If they also voted, there would really be no chance of resistance. The only chance now is to rely on Hong Daoan and other 3 8th level professionals. Although there are many people on the opposite side, there are only 2 level 8 professionals. They still have an advantage in high-end combat power. The rest of the people were looking at Feng Tiancheng, wondering what kind of choice he would make. Feng Tiancheng was silent for a moment and sighed. Okay, don't hurt the island owner, we are cooperating with the night god cult. It's impossible to seal the housekeeper. Someone advised. As powerful people, how could they be willing to be controlled by others? I'm sorry everyone, Feng Tiancheng, don't want to do this, but the island owner is in their hands, so we have to surrender. Feng Tiancheng walked up to Zhou Changsheng and glanced at the owner of Liulai Island who was controlled by them behind him. Release the island owner and I will be the hostage. Zhou Changsheng smiled and said. Butler Feng, your sincerity is certainly valuable, but we cannot let the island owner go for the time being. Let Hong Daoan and Wang Ming go away. Let's talk to the remaining bosses first. You. Feng Tiancheng had no choice but to give orders to Hong Daoan and the others to move away from the crowd. At this time, everyone was completely desperate. The only remaining 8-level professional cannot be the opponent of Yang An and the two. If they don't compromise, they will die. Mu Liansheng went from angry to helpless, and a deep feeling of powerlessness surged from the bottom of his heart. When he turned to look at Xiao Ding to find a solution, he found that Xiao Ding looked calm. Brother Xiao, are you not panicking at all? Have you joined the night god cult a long time ago? Xiao Ding smiled lightly and said, No, I just think the clown's performance is pretty good. Mu Liansheng was confused when he heard this. Where did Xiao Ding get his confidence? The guards he hired were dead and injured, so how could he have any basis for confidence? Xiao Ding had long ago asked Suren for help from afar, but Suren just nodded slightly to him. Xiao Ding understood that nothing would happen today. You, let go of my hand. Mu Hongxia looked at the person in front of her angrily. If she hadn't known that he was doing it for her own good, she would have taken action long ago. Sorry, I was so absorbed in watching the show that I forgot. Suren shouted back. Watch, a show. After this time, are you still in the mood to watch a show? Suren shrugged and said. How about that? Don't you think this is better than watching them discuss cooperation there? Mu Hongxia. She didn't know what to say anymore, and she didn't know whether this person was really powerful or arrogant. He could still be so calm and composed at this juncture, as if the dozens of rank 7 masters and the 2 rank 8 masters were fake. Suren didn't know what she was thinking. At this time, he just stood up and murmured. After watching the show, it's my turn to appear next. Mu Hongxia suddenly looked at Suren. It seemed that at this moment, the aura of the person in front of her changed. It becomes as deep as an abyss, with no end in sight. However, before Suren took action, something happened again on the field. Boom! An explosion exploded behind Zhou Changsheng and others. Suddenly, dozens of people were blown away, including Zhou Changsheng. A cold snort came. Humph, you dare to act wild on my Liulai island. Do you really think that the owner of this island is a fool? Everyone hurriedly looked around and saw that Feng Tianquan's aura surged, and he had reached the peak of level 8 in just an instant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 166. Feng Tianquan's cold eyes were as cold as lightning, and he scanned everyone in the room. At this time, Wang Ming and Hong Daoan also rushed back from a distance and stood around Feng Tiancheng. Everyone was a little confused. What is going on? Feng Tiancheng turned out to be a peak level 8 expert, and they heard him right. Did Feng Tiancheng call himself the island owner just now? Everyone looked at the owner of Liulai Island who was blown away and dying on the ground. Could this person have been a substitute all along? It turns out that the owner of Liulai Island has always been Feng Tiancheng, the butler. It turns out that this is the reason why Wang Ming and Hong Daoan are willing to work for the owner of Liulai Island. The fundamental reason is because of Feng Tianquan's peak level 8 strength. Now it all makes sense. People of the Night God cult, you have come to the wrong place. Feng Tianquan looked at Yang An and Den Yan, who were blown away. After receiving his blow, the two men now had several broken ribs and were spitting blood from their mouths. At least 1/3 of the blood volume has dropped. Fortunately for Yang An, he is an earth mage. When he sensed the danger, he urgently added an earth shield to himself, blocking most of the damage. Den Yan didn't feel so good. He was relatively close to Feng Tianquan, and he was also the first target of attacks. Feng Tianquan's blow almost killed him. At this time, he had almost no strength to fight anymore. Zhou Changshen, on the other hand, had been knocked unconscious by the explosion and did not know whether he was alive or dead. This is the result of Feng Tianquan's refusal. After all, he still didn't dare to offend the Night God cult too much. There are rumors that the two guardians of the Night God sect are both at level 9 or above, and the leader of the Night God sect is even more powerful and unfathomable. What's more, there seems to be a Night God who seems to be a god behind them. Although he was at the peak of rank 8, he did not dare to openly antagonize the Night God cult. This is also his helplessness. If it weren't for this, he would have killed these people from the Night God sect in front of him. Ahem, Feng Tianquan, you are hiding so well. We seem to have miscalculated. Yang An stood up with difficulty, his expression still calm, showing no signs of panic. Feng Tianquan narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Take your people and get out, otherwise don't blame this island owner for going on a killing spree." Hearing this, everyone was shocked and said, "Seal down, island owner, no, you are letting the tiger go back to the mountains, they will definitely come back. How will Liulai Island protect itself then?" Everyone who has not joined the Yagod cult is trying to persuade them. In fact, they are more afraid of being intercepted by the Yagod cult on their way back. As long as Feng Tianquan kills Yang An and Den Yan, their danger will be greatly reduced. As for considering Liulai Island, how is that possible? Feng Tianquan was not related to them, so how could they think about Liulai Island? They wished that Liulai Island and Yeshen cult would get entangled with each other to give them a chance to escape. Feng Tianquan glanced at this group of people. The owner of this island has his own plans, and I don't need you to teach me how to do things. You too, please. Ha 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 ha. Yang An laughed several times, looked at Feng Tianquan and said, "Island master, what if we don't leave? How will you treat us?" "Yang An, you are at the end of your game, how dare you be so arrogant? Island owner, kill them." Hong Daoan glared at the villain who sneaked up on him. If Feng Tianquan hadn't asked him to do it, he would have rushed over to kill him now. How could he be so rampant? "Hey, kill me. Hong Daoan, think about how you can survive first." Yang An waved one hand, and a hole exploded in the ground, and then blood gushed out from the ground. An eerie laughter came from underground. "Ho ho, I didn't expect to meet a peak human level 8 expert here. It really surprises me." A bloody figure slowly walked out of the blood. As soon as it appeared, everyone felt that the blood in their bodies began to rush very fast, as if it was about to burn. Many low-level people squatted down in pain, covering their hearts, unable to bear the accelerated circulation of blood in their bodies. Mu Hongxia's face turned red, and big beads of sweat rolled down her head. She was obviously affected by this figure. However, this symptom only lasted for a few seconds, and then a gentle force entered her body and calmed the restless blood. "Is everything okay?" Suren looked at her and asked. "Thank you." Seeing that Suren was not affected at all, she knew that he had helped her. Suren nodded, and then looked at the fully revealed figure. "Can you actually see the panel information?" Suren clicked on the other party's message. Blood Demon, Yachuo, Outer Territory Demon. Level, 900. Physical Attack, 1,400,000. Magic Attack, 185,000. HP, 9000000/9000000. Physical Defense / Magic Defense, 120,000/150,000. Skills, Blood Rebirth, Blood Demon Escape, Blood Shadow Clone, Blood Boiling, Blood Handprint, Blood Thirst, Blood Explosion, Blood Invisibility, Power of Ascension. Explanation: the powerful extraterritorial vampire is extremely difficult to kill. After reading the other party's message, everyone was stunned. After a long time, someone trembled. The extraterrestrial demon, how did it appear here? The blood demon grinned and looked at him with a set of scarlet teeth. The man was so frightened that he took 2 steps back and fell to the ground, not daring to look at the blood demon again. "Welcome, Lord Protector." Yang An bowed and saluted. The blood demon looked at Feng Tiancheng and said with a smile. "Humans are really cunning, but in the face of absolute strength, all your efforts are in vain. Are you ready to join our night god cult?" The blood demon's power suppressed the entire audience. No one dares to touch its gaze. Xiao Ding's originally calm expression now became anxious. Who would have thought that this matter would evolve so far that an extraterrestrial demon comparable to rank 9 would appear? Now even he doesn't think Suren can solve the current dilemma 100%. Xiao Ding secretly looked at Suren and saw Suren standing there watching quietly, seemingly unable to see any panic. Suren didn't look at Xiao Ding at all, but kept using his beast-catching skills. Unfortunately, it failed again. Twice. "Wait one more minute." Suren looked at the beast-catching skill that was on cooldown, praying in his heart that Feng Tiancheng could hold on for a little longer. At this time, for some unknown reason, the blood demon suddenly looked at Suren, who was standing next to the hall. This is a kind of intuition of high-level monsters, an intuition of danger. This human. What happened? I just seemed to feel an invisible force touching my body and spirit twice. The more the blood demon thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. No, things will change later. I must fight quickly. The blood demon looked at Feng Tiancheng and shouted, "Human, have you thought about it? My patience is not good. If Feng Tiancheng doesn't compromise, it will take action." The feeling of danger was getting stronger and stronger, and it was like a ray on his back. It must be done quickly to get these people out of here. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 167. What if the owner of this island says no? Feng Tiancheng didn't want Liulai Island to get into trouble, but he couldn't be controlled by others. He was confident that he could fight against the level 900 blood demon. Hearing this, the blood demon's expression turned cold. Stubborn. It has always felt that Yeshen's strategy is not working, and that force to suppress it can better solve the problem. Why bother talking to these people? In that case, I will let you know what an extraterrestrial demon is. The blood demon held his hand in the air, and a huge bloody handprint directly held Feng Tiancheng and Hong Daoan and Wang Ming behind him together. It wants to decide the outcome with one blow. However, Feng Tiancheng is also a strong man at the peak of rank 8, how could he be defeated in one move? In the bloody handprint, a beam of 7-color glass light broke through the handprint, and the 7-color light illuminated the main hall. The bloody handprint was broken. A glazed sword was held in Feng Tiancheng's hand. He has the confidence to fight against the blood demon, all because of the weapon in his hand, the 7-color glazed sword. This sword did not explode from the monster, but was something that Liulai Island originally possessed. On Liulai Island, this sword can exert its maximum power. The blood demon looked at the long sword and said in surprise. It's actually a divine weapon. You actually own a divine weapon. However, the blood demon was not afraid at all. Instead, he laughed excitedly and said, Okay, okay, this thing belongs to me. Humph, come and get it if you can. Feng Tiancheng showed no sign of weakness. The blood demon suddenly disappeared from the spot, which made Suren lower his raised hand again. Don't go, damn, where did you go? The third cooldown of Suren's beast-catching skill was completed, and before he could throw it out, the blood demon disappeared. Seeing the blood demon disappear, Wang Ming shouted. Feudamyo formation. Sanskrit chanting, countless golden runes surrounded the three people, firmly protecting them in the center. This is Wang Ming's famous stunt, known as absolute defense. Even at level 9, it is impossible to break his defense with one blow. Be careful. Feng Tiancheng glanced around carefully. Ho ho. The Fudo-Myoyo formation? It's useless to me. Wang Ming was shocked when he heard this voice, and then he felt his blood began to riot. The heart was beating crazily at this time, as if it was about to burst open the chest. Puff. Fudo-Myoyo, who was said to have unparalleled defense, was the first to be injured and spit out a mouthful of blood before even seeing the figure of the blood demon. The blood demon's voice sounded again. Fudo-Myoyo, you can defend yourself against attacks from the outside, but can you also defend yourself against attacks from within your body? As soon as the sound came out, Wang Ming spat out another mouthful of blood. The Fudo-Mingu formation that was maintained around the three people also completely collapsed. Wang Ming. Hong Daoan quickly supported him and checked his injuries. Don't worry, you are quite powerful, I won't kill you. Get out of here if you can. Hong Daoan roared angrily, and a phantom of the Vajradharma image appeared around him. Ho ho, what can you do to me if I come out? The blood spit out by Wang Ming suddenly exploded. This weird attack method caught them off guard. Hong Daoan was good at attacking but not at defending. He was already injured and was blown away by the explosion. He hit the pillars of the hall and fell heavily to the ground. Ho ho, you should be grateful that you are still useful, otherwise the explosion would have been inside your body. As for Feng Tiancheng, the seven-color glazed sword emitted a ray of earth-yellow light to help him block the blow. But even with the artifact in hand and no target to attack, Feng Tiancheng had nothing to do with the blood demon. Now every drop of blood in the hall may be a blood demon, or in other words, there is a blood demon in every person. Feng Tiancheng couldn't find it, and it was impossible for it to strike at everyone present. This feeling of being powerless made him extremely uncomfortable. Hateful. Feng Tiancheng roared. It's really hateful. Suren thought in his mind. After only 2 arrests, the blood demon disappeared. This made him angry. Ho ho, let's end it. The blood from the body of the person who died just now was extracted, and then formed a blood ball around Feng Tiancheng. I'll give you one last chance. If you resist again, you will definitely suffer physical pain. Feng Tiancheng wanted to cut through the blood ball with one sword, but after cutting it off, the gap in the blood ball would be filled again. If this blood ball explodes, he may not be able to prevent it. It's over, what should we do? Seeing this scene, the crowd burst into wailing. Originally, they thought that Feng Tiancheng's intervention would at least ensure that they would have no worries now. Who would have thought that a level 900 extraterrestrial demon would appear now? Now everyone can see that Feng Tiancheng is at a disadvantage even with the divine weapon in his hand. The difference between 8th and 9th turns is too big. Even an artifact isn't enough to make up for it. The blood demon's invisible and strange methods would give even the top rank 9 experts a headache when encountering them. It seems we have to settle for less today. There is no hope in the hearts of everyone. Feng Tiancheng is powerless, what can they do? Du Jingyun laughed and looked at Mu Liansheng and Xiao Ding. Both declined his invitation. Now he also had a bad breath. Xiao Ding, Mu Liansheng, what do you think now? If you don't eat the toast, you will be punished with wine. If you had known what would happen, why would you have rejected me in the first place? Du Jingyuan smiled proudly. Even if Xiao Ding and the others choose to join later, their status will be ranked behind him. Because he surrendered on his own initiative, unlike Xiao Ding and the others. He could already imagine Xiao Ding and the others humbled in front of him. Mu Liansheng just shook his head and sighed. No one can save them now, and he is too lazy to reply to Du Jingyuan's words. That's just asking for humiliation. Xiao Ding glanced at the indifferent Su Ren again. He didn't know what Su Ren was thinking. Logically speaking, Su Ren was not afraid at all when the blood demon came out, so Su Ren should have taken action. Why didn't Su Ren take action while the blood demon was still confronting Feng Tiancheng? He couldn't figure it out, but he knew that since Su Ren was not afraid, he must have his own confidence. Facing Du Jingyuan's cynicism, Xiao Ding would not swallow his anger like Mu Liansheng. He immediately replied. Boss Du, we still don't know who will win. I'm afraid it's too early to be happy now. Haha, Xiao Ding, I don't know if you are blind or if there is something wrong with your brain. Do you still need me to tell you about the situation on the field now? Sealing heaven and Chengdu cannot protect itself. Who can defeat the Lord Protector? Hearing this, everyone who joined the Night God cult laughed. They all laughed at Xiao Ding's ignorance. I think Boss Xiao was frightened, right? Haha, that's normal. Who can stay calm in front of the power of the Protector? At this time Zhou Changsheng also woke up. Seeing the blood demon take action, he felt relieved, but he was turned into a yin by Feng Tian. If it weren't for the blood demon who was behind the scenes, their plan for this trip would have failed. But despite the twists and turns, everything went smoothly. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 168. Zhou Changsheng looked at his blood volume and saw that less than 10% was left. It was easy for Feng Tiancheng to kill him at that time, but he still had scruples and allowed Zhou Zhang to live. Zhou Changsheng quickly took out a bottle of blood medicine and took a sip. Seeing the increase in blood volume, he felt much more at ease. After Zhou Changsheng finished all this, he walked up to Xiao Ding and said condescendingly. Xiao Ding, you always win. This time, let me see how you beat me. Facing Zhou Changsheng's ridicule, Xiao Ding remained indifferent and said. Changsheng, don't forget that your current blood volume is less than 1/3. At this distance, are you sure I can't kill you? Upon hearing this, Zhou Changsheng's expression changed and he quickly took a few steps back behind the crowd. He was indeed careless just now. If he was not at full health at that distance, he might really be killed by Xiao Ding in seconds. However, after reacting, Zhou Changsheng smiled and said. It almost scared me. As long as you don't want to die, you definitely won't kill me. Xiao Ding sighed and shook his head. At this time, the blood balls condensed by the blood demon were getting smaller and smaller, and they were getting closer and closer to Feng Tiancheng. There wasn't much time left for him to think about it. No one in the field is the opponent of the blood demon. As for the guard behind Mordekaiser, his duty is to protect Mordekaiser. He would not take action without Mordekaiser's order. Even if he takes action, it will actually be of no use. A level 900 blood demon is enough to crush dozens of level 8 professionals. He alone is nothing more than an earthworm shaking a tree or an egg hitting a stone. Island Master, have you thought clearly? The blood demon's voice sounded in the hall again. Of course, I thought about it very clearly. Feng Chenjuelian kill. Boom. An unparalleled sword light burst out from the blood ball. The sword light slashed out, turning everything it touched into powder. No matter what it is, nothing can stop its edge. The entire main hall and even the entire Yunding Tiangong were split into two by this chop. Boom! There was a tremor of heaven and earth, and the core operation of the hall was damaged and began to collapse. Oops! Yunding Tiangong is going to collapse. Flying pet beast, who has a flying pet beast? Help me quickly. But before they could summon the flying beasts, the hall had already fallen towards the lake. The speed was so fast that no one could react. Suren was also shocked by this sudden change, but he remembered correctly. Below here is a lake. If you fall from a height of more than 1,000 meters, those professionals who are above level 5 should have no problem, and they will probably only lose some blood. However, he is still a little squishy now, and if the block is not used properly, it may kill him. One of Cair and the Ice Dragon King turned into an egg, the other was still sleeping, and the one who could fly was a nightmare. It's night now, and nightmares can be summoned. With the thought, Suren summoned the nightmare before landing. With quick eyesight and quick hands, Suren grabbed Mu Hongxia beside him, while Meng Xiang grabbed Suren's shoulders and successfully suspended the two of them in mid-air. Boom! Plop! Plop! Countless boulder buildings smashed into the lake. The first ones that touched the water were smashed into pieces, and those that followed were splashed with countless meters of water. The entire collapse process lasted more than a minute. There were also many people who summoned their flying beasts at the last moment, and were looking at the still lake below with fearful expressions. After a while, people emerged from the lake one after another. After a few more minutes, there were no more waves on the lake, and all the people who could get ashore did so. As for those who failed to make it ashore, they may never come back. Not everyone among the rich people who came to participate in this event has a level of strength above rank 5. A few are even just ordinary people, they are just spokespersons chosen by their respective families. So they are destined not to survive. No one expected that Feng Tiancheng would directly kill Yunding Tiangong. This beheading caused at least 5 or 6 rich people to be completely buried at the bottom of the lake. A dozen of the remaining guards also died. Roar! Feng Tiancheng, I'm very angry with your choice. The surface of the lake turned red, as if the entire lake had turned into blood. Feng Tiancheng was standing on the shore with a 7-color glazed sword in his hand, looking at the lake in a daze. That cut should be his unique skill. It's just that he didn't see the blood demon's true form, so that slash was wasted. It's a pity. If it weren't the blood demon, if it were another monster that could see the entity, even if my sword couldn't kill the opponent, it would definitely be seriously injured. Well. Feng Tiancheng sighed, he tried his best. There is just a little difference between the peak level of level 8 and level 9, but he is not even qualified to hurt the blood demon. At this time, the figure of the blood demon reappeared on the lake. The blood demon suddenly raised its head, and as soon as it came out, it felt the inexplicable force start to appear on its body and scratch it. And this time it clearly felt the source of that power. It's the one with the mask. Just as the blood demon was about to kill this person first, it was frightened and fell into the lake as if it had seen a ghost. This move shocked everyone. Feng Tiancheng also looked at the blood demon in confusion. It had already won, so what was it still afraid of? Feng Tiancheng followed its gaze and looked toward the sky. I saw a dark, bat-like creature holding the two of them and hanging them in the air. This is... Feng Tiancheng only felt his scalp numb, and he stood there as if he had been electrocuted. Even when facing the blood demon, he had never been so scared. No. Impossible. Is the awakening temple broken? Thinking of this, Feng Tiancheng hurriedly looked around behind him, but there was no such thing. It's definitely not a nightmare, it's probably just a resemblance. At this time, the blood demon also realized that this small world was still on Liulai Island and was protected by the awakening temple. How could the nightmare come in? The blood demon stood up, feeling insulted by his previous gaffe. It decided to kill this person first, and the pet beast that looked like a nightmare and scared it. But before taking action, he still habitually left several clones for himself in the lake. Suren couldn't help but frown when he saw it staring at him and making an offensive gesture. Huh? Is this guy going to attack me? I originally wanted to capture another pet beast, but since you don't want to, I'll give you a ride. Mu Hongxia naturally discovered the blood demon's actions. She didn't know why the blood demon targeted the two of them. It seems that I have to use the sky track again, hoping to escape from this small world. Mu Hongxia took out her magic book and was about to recite the spell when she saw Suren had already taken out a long knife. Then he slashed at the blood demon on the lake. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 169. There was no earth-shattering, no cries of ghosts and gods. This is just an ordinary sword, so ordinary that no one else can see the horror of this sword. Only the blood demon who was locked by the sword knew that this was an irresistible sword. Danger! The blood demon looked at the slashing sword light, and instantly hid his body to avoid it in shock. Seeing the blood demon disappearing again, Feng Tiancheng couldn't help but shook his head. No one here can do anything to the blood demon. It's no wonder that the opponent can break through the sky and enter the blue star. This weird method is really hard to guard against. Just when everyone thought that the blood demon wanted to play with Suren, a shrill scream sounded in the void. The figure of the blood demon reappeared in front of everyone. You. Looking at the masked human, the blood demon stretched out his finger with difficulty, his eyes filled with fear. It couldn't dodge that knife. Puff. -900000000. The blood demon's body was split into two in full view, and then fell into the lake with two plops. Originally, thanks to its regeneration ability, it could be completely resurrected even if it was cut in half. But there is a force that completely annihilates its vitality, and even the rebirth it relies on for survival has lost its effect. Since Suren's sword-drawing slash has been executed, at this stage, except for the invisible body, he is destined to die, and any means is useless. Seeing this scene, the scene was deathly silent. Mu Hongxia paused in the spell she was chanting, and almost dropped the magic book in her hand. Mu Hongxia turned her head and looked at the person beside her who was holding her hand. He only used one hand and a knife to kill the arrogant blood demon instantly, leaving everyone helpless. That's 90 million blood, not 9,000. You, who are you? Mu Hongxia's eyes were filled with shock and curiosity. Suren didn't reply to her, but just let the nightmare send the two of them to the ground. After landing, Suren let her go and walked towards the lake. Only then did everyone wake up from the shock. Zhou Changsheng fell to the ground. He seemed to be so scared that his legs would become weak when encountering such a thing. Coupled with his several hundred kilograms of body, he would fall to the ground if his center of gravity was unstable. Protector, Lord Protector, dead, dead. Zhou Changsheng looked at the man standing by the lake in horror. He had planned to settle the score with him after finishing the matter here. Let's torture this person who made a fool of himself and lost the bet. Now after seeing the opponent's terrifying strength, let alone settling accounts at this time, he just hoped that the other party did not see him and that he would be lucky to be able to leave here safely. Du Jingyun's face was as pale as a waterfall at this time. He remembered that this person was the person in Xiaoding's room that day. He is also the person who has always stood by Xiaoding's side. He was still laughing at Xiaoding just now, but now he was slapped in the face. Du Jingyun looked at Xiaoding, saw that the other person was not looking at him, and then quickly took 2 steps to hide in the crowd. He just hoped that Xiaoding wouldn't notice him. Otherwise, his old life will definitely be lost here today. Xiao, brother Xiao, where did you invite the unparalleled powerhouse? Why have I never heard of him? Mu Liansheng swallowed and turned to look at Xiao Ding beside him. No wonder Xiao Ding didn't panic from beginning to end, and even dared to reply to Du Jingyuan, Zhou Changshen, and others when the blood demon took control of the whole place. It turned out that he was confident. Xiao Ding shook his head and smiled when he heard this. I can't invite any powerful man. I just asked for his opinion. I only invited him if he was willing to come. Xiao Ding also didn't expect Su Ren to be so terrifying, killing the blood demon with one strike. A level 900 blood demon has a blood volume of up to 90 million. That damage number didn't seem to be the limit of Su Ren's damage, it was just the limit of the blood demon's blood bar. In his imagination, even if Su Ren could defeat the blood demon, it would not be so easy and ordinary. No matter what, it will take hundreds of rounds. But the reality is that there is only one knife. When Mu Liansheng heard this, he complained. Hey, brother Xiao, you should tell me earlier next time you have such an expert present. My heart is about to jump out of fear. You are so unkind. Xiao Ding chuckled. Definitely next time. Xiao Ding himself was not sure that Su Ren could stabilize the blood demon, so how could he tell others? Hearing this perfunctory answer, Mu Liansheng shook his head and sighed. I have to thank him in person later. Not only did he save me, he also saved my daughter. Speaking of this, Mu Liansheng asked Xiao Ding. I wonder what Mr. Su likes. Crystal core, the higher the level, the better. As for the others, I don't know. Mu Liansheng nodded, already mentally taking stock of how many monster cores he had in stock at home. Mordekaiser tidied up his wet clothes, walked up to Xiao Ding and asked. Boss Xiao Ding, is that strong man your friend? Mordekaiser pointed to Surin who was looking towards the lake. Let's forget it. Mr. Mordekaiser, what's the matter with you? Xiao Ding actually knew very well that Mordekaiser must have taken a fancy to his relationship with Suren. Now there is no need to compete with others, this cooperation is definitely stable. Okay, once this place is safe, we at Caesar's Group want to be the first to sign a cooperation contract with Boss Xiao. I wonder what Boss Xiao thinks. Looking at the eager Mordekaiser, Xiao Ding sighed in his heart. This is the status and dignity that strength brings. And this was just the result of the relationship between him and Suren. Even Mordekaiser should respectfully call him you at this time. Now it is no longer Xiao Ding who is asking Mordekaiser to cooperate with him, but the other party is asking to cooperate with him. The identity exchange between the two parties lasted only a moment. Mr. Mordekaiser, of course I am willing to cooperate, but I need to ask my friend about the split, and I need to listen to his opinion. Mordekaiser nodded quickly. No problem, no problem, no problem at all. You and your friends can discuss it, as long as we can reach cooperation. He is now really afraid that Xiao Ding is unwilling to cooperate with him. This friend Xiao Ding is definitely one of the strongest people in the world. He has been looking for top strong men who are willing to cooperate with him, but people of that level will not be attracted by money at all. Now that he finally found one, how could he give up? This is related to a special action plan of his. He must find enough strong people to go to that place. As long as Xiao Ding is willing to cooperate, he doesn't even need a share, he can just give some money. There were cheers and laughter on Xiao Ding's side, but the expressions of the people who joined the Night God sect on the other side were not so good. Elder Deng, Elder Yang, what should we do? Someone said anxiously. Yes, didn't you say that your action this time was foolproof? Even the protector is dead, how can we escape? I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 170. You have to give us an explanation. You can't lie to us. Listening to the chattering complaints of this group, Yang roared angrily. "Shut up, everyone." Everyone was startled by him and did not dare to speak. "Damn it, it's so noisy. Who are you? Do you dare to vent your grievances on this elder? Why are you so cruel to us? If you have the ability, go find that person and fight." Someone whispered softly. "Who said that? Stand up for me." No one came forward, but it was obvious that these people were becoming dissatisfied with the ability of the night god cult. They agreed to join because they wanted to find out the truth about the world taught by the God sect. The second is to take a fancy to the strength of the night god cult. But now that the blood demon is dead, it is unknown whether they can get out of this small world alive. They had just joined and their military morale was unstable. Suren's sword directly cut off their illusions about the night god cult. It can only be said that although the drawing sword is not perfect yet, it can already cut off some invisible objects from the side. "Humph, why are you panicking? There's no way the Lord Protector will die so easily." Yang looked calm on the surface, but actually he was unsure in his heart. Everyone has seen the damage figure, and the blood demon has not appeared again until now. But panic can't solve the problem now, he must find a way to stabilize this group of people. Then go to Suren to negotiate terms. There is also a leader and Yeshen in the Yagod section. He feels that no matter how strong Suren is, he should give the Yagod sect some face. The worst thing is that everyone will not invade each other this time, and each will go back to his own house to find his own mother. As long as the other party is not an unscrupulous person, their lives should be safe. With this idea in mind, Yang looked at the man standing by the lake. At this time, Feng Tianchen walked to Suren and took a look into the lake. "Excuse me, brother, is the blood demon not dead?" Feng Tianchen was already in despair just now, but he didn't expect a stranger to appear from the sky. Moreover, this person killed the arrogant and domineering blood demon with just one sword. He glanced at the knife in Suren's hand. It was a weapon that was too ordinary to be ordinary, and could only be considered a silver-level weapon at best. He looked at his weapon again, an artifact. But the effects vary wildly. I can't hurt the blood demon even though I have the artifact in hand. What kind of strength does this person have? Just when Feng Tianchen was guessing, Suren replied. "Not sure, my intuition tells me that it doesn't seem to be dead, just hiding in the lake." "He's really not dead." Feng Tianchen was startled and looked into the lake again. This lake is so big that the blood demon can be reborn with a drop of blood. It also has the ability to clone itself to save its life. If it hides in this lake and doesn't come out, no one can do anything about it. Trying to find the blood demon is like looking for a needle in a haystack. "This brother, senior, what should we do?" Feng Tiancheng felt that it was inappropriate to call him brother. This man was extremely powerful. He was just a level 8 to 90 professional. How could he dare to call the person in front of him brother? So the title also became senior. "It doesn't matter, I have a solution. Tell everyone to stay back before you hurt them." Feng Tiancheng was stunned when he heard this, and then looked at Suren in surprise. "What can be done about this? Isn't it possible to drain the lake?" "But even if they are drained, they may not be able to find the blood demon." But since Suren said so, he could only do it. Who calls him a senior? "Okay, I'll do it now." Feng Tiancheng bowed and retreated, notifying others to retreat as well. Sealing the administration, no, sealing the island master, what is this for? Someone wondered. Shouldn't we liquidate those members of the night god cult now? "Everyone, please move back." The senior said that the blood demon may not be dead, and he will use drastic measures to force the blood demon to come out of the lake. "What? The blood demon is not dead yet? Why are you panicking? Didn't Master Feng Island say that the senior will force the blood demon to come out? The blood demon must be hiding in the lake now and is too scared to show up. Oh, that's good, that's good. They were really afraid of the blood demon. Everyone retreated to a distance and divided into two groups to stand facing each other. On one side are people who have joined the Yegod cult, and on the other side are people who have not joined the Yegod cult. People on both sides looked nervously at the man standing by the lake in the distance. This will decide their fate. Brother Xiao, are you stable? Mu Liansheng asked worriedly. Before Xiao Ding could reply, Mu Hongzia said first. Father, don't worry, I believe in him. Daughter, how much do you know about this senior? I don't know much about it, but I think he can definitely find the blood demon. I believe him. Mu Hongzia had been beside Suren from beginning to end, and she had never seen Suren panic. No matter when, the other party is so calm, like a god king from heaven looking down at the world. Mortal fights may be a joke in his eyes. She still remembers what the other party said, that is, watching a show. At this time, everyone was very nervous and their nerves were at their breaking point. But the most nervous thing is the blood demon hiding in the lake. Its original power was cut in half by the human sword. If it hadn't placed dozens of clones at the bottom of the lake in advance, it would have died just now. It will take at least 10 years to recover this half of its original power. If this human being kills its clones again, it will really be dead. Why is this hateful human being so strong? The resurrection talent that my vampire is so proud of is completely useless in front of him. I have to find a way to escape quickly. Just as the blood demon thought of this, he heard the conversation between Suren and Feng Tiancheng. The blood demon was horrified that this man actually had a way to find it. Escape. This is its only thought at this time. But when it was about to be implemented, it was discovered that an entire lake was flying into the sky. Its blood drop clone also flew to the sky with the water. This scene directly stunned everyone in the distance. From their perspective, it looked like a huge waterfall standing out of thin air, but the direction of the waterfall's flow was not downward, but upward. Flying down 3,000 feet, that's all. In less than a moment, all the lake water within a radius of 100 miles rose up against the sky and spread out in mid-air. It looks sparkling under the sunlight of the small world. What kind of skill is this? Everyone was shocked and exclaimed when they saw this. Feng Tiancheng murmured to himself. Is this senior a rank -9 top water magician? This ability to control water has exceeded his imagination. No one among the water magicians he knew could do this. Everyone looked at Xiao Ding, he was the one who brought the person. Xiao Ding spread his hands helplessly. He didn't know that Suren still had this profession. In his impression, didn't Suren use a knife?